The Nephilim are maybe Magic's most awkward card cycle to date. From lore to design, and even their artwork, these strange demigod titan things have left an unwieldy impression on Magic's history. On the surface, these cards are fairly intriguing, but let's dig deeper and explore just what makes the Nephilim so dang clunky. First, what exactly is a Nephilim? In Magic the Gathering, the Nephilim were the old gods of Ravnica that existed far before the time of the Guild Pact. These creatures were the original caretakers of the land who disobeyed its citizens' request and ignored their sacrifices. However, Nephilim is not a term unique to Magic. The creatures exist in Christianity. The word Nephilim itself has an unclear etymology, with many translations rewording it as giant, while others resort to calling them the Fallen Ones. In any regard, it is clear that R&D took inspiration from biblical texts in the creation of their cards, which sparked backlash from Star City Games writer and self-proclaimed man of faith Abe Sargent. Essentially, Abe took offense that Wizards would incorporate lore from living faiths and rework them for their game. The article can be found in the links below. As I said, the Nephilim are awkward. Now, back to Magic lore. Like every other mythical beast in time, the Nephilim were subdued and buried in the earth, destined to remain dormant forever. That is, until the dudes at the Utvara district in constructing the city of Ravnica struck a fault line and BAM! Out popped these bad mamma jammas. Whoa! Upon arising, the Nephilim began to feed on dragon corpses and absorb their powers. They also scuffled with Niv-Mizzet himself and took to the pits with Rakdos the Defiler before ultimately falling to the guild bosses. So what do these giants look like? Well, that's another misstep in design. The artwork for each creature is absolutely gorgeous, no doubt. Yortiller Nephilim, for example, has freaking bodies hanging from it, alluding not only to its ability to recur things, but also to its size. Looking at the 5 artists who provided the paint for these creatures, we see some pretty big names. Greg Staples and Christopher Moeller have each done artwork for over 200 Magic cards to date. In fact, between the 5 artists are 773 cards total. That's no slouch. So R&D got some pretty big names to do work for the Nephilim. The issue at large, however, is that there is no real unity between the beasts. None of these depictions truly help me understand what a Nephilim is. Yortiller looks a lot like Scion of Vitu-Ghazi, which is an elemental, while Inktreader is reminiscent of Sky Swallower and Grozov, which are both leviathans. Witchmaw looks terrifyingly similar to the River Spirit in Spirited Away. He's even wearing a little mask like No-Face. In contrast, an Eldrazi is unmistakably an Eldrazi. The OG giants of M11 all have that cohesive feel in both flavor and function. Other titans, such as the Primordial Cycle that came in the second Ravnica block, all possess common similarities between them, creating that essential unity that everyone wants in a cycle of cards. The Nephilim? Not so much. Now what do these cards do exactly? Again, another speed bump. Being 4-color cards, they're bound to be awkward, since there is no room for any of the colors to express their identity. Even Morrow recognizes this. In his 2013 article titled Absence, he says that the Nephilim from the beginning didn't fit, and the creative team felt forced to justify their existence. Aaron Forsyth weighed in as well, saying that the Nephilim started out, and I quote, pretty darned ridiculous, but were later toned down because they could be enabled far too easily in the multicolored block. Cards like Birds of Paradise, Farseek, Sack Elder, and the Signet Cycle, when combined with Shocklands, made mana bases too strong in Standard. As such, the Nephilim's power level was nerfed. Josh Lee Kwai, co-host of the Command Zone, has expressed that 4-color cards should emphasize not which colors they are, but which colors they are not. Designing a card based on its weakness could lead to some interesting balancing and mechanics. The other glaring design issue with the Nephilim is that nobody remembers what any of them do. Honestly, go ask around your LGS. At best, people remember one mechanic, but I'll doubt they'll remember the name. Finally, Morrow has commented that he would errata these cards in a heartbeat to be legendary. We as humans are pattern completionists, and as all EDH players know, there is no support currently for a 4-colored commander deck, which makes me curious about the future of the Nephilim. In the November 2015 article Commander and Conquer, Rosewater comments that each year the design team for the Commander product wishes to tweak something in the decks. One way to do this is by designing decks for every combination of the color pie. So far, wedge decks, shard decks, monocolored, and now 2-color enemy decks have been printed, leaving only 2-color ally decks, 5-color decks, and, you guessed it, 4 color decks remaining. Therefore, it is likely that we will see another cycle of 4 colored cards. Will they be the Nephilim reincarnate? Or will they look more similar to the Fate Reforged legends, whose color identity is extended not by their mana costs, but by the activated abilities found in their rules text? Morrow wrote that the Nephilim were created as an alternative to the guilds, so maybe the next version will be the embodiment of the guilds allying together like the freaking Power Rangers to defeat Rita Repulsa. Until then, I guess I'll just be memorizing what the hell these cards do. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this, check out my previous video, The Curious Case of Birds of Paradise. Only if you want to, of course. I'm not your boss. As always, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, so come hang out. Cheers!